have the Philadelphia Fusion. So going into this matchup, I think everyone kind of expected Philadelphia Fusion to win. They had kind of a pretty decent start to the season. They looked really good in their first couple of matchups, whereas San Francisco Shock had struggled. So coming into this, the two kind of marquee matchups between individual players from this match where we wanted to see how Baby Bay and Dante were able to handle Carpe and Shadowburn. And then we also wanted to see what the two tank lineups would do between Nomi and Nevix and Fraggy and Poco, because Fraggy and Poco both had issues with coordination and their ability to dive the same targets simultaneously with their DPS, whereas Nomi and Nevix had struggles mechanically, but also with staying together and staggering their defensive abilities so that they didn't die. But yeah, so going into this first map, we have San Francisco Shock on attack. So let's just start the review. Both team comps are pretty standard for first point of Dorado. The only thing that I'd say that's really different is that San Francisco Shock is running McCree, but McCree is actually useful here for in this early stage. There's not a lot of room to move around for a tracer, so using that flashbang can be pretty effective for finding Carpe or whoever, and then you can swap off onto a different hero pretty much right away. You can swap off onto a Fairy, or a Widow, whatever fits your fancy. Alright, so Dante just scouts out the two tanks from Fusion. That's a really standard attack right there. And ooh, Fraggy falls super low. So right there, Carpe manages to find Sleepy in the backline. Let's see where Sleepy was going. So Sleepy, okay, so we have Shadowburn hiding over here, and then we had Carpe. He was over here. I don't know where he went though. I don't see him. And Sleepy is of course in the back line. Shadowburn runs around behind to try and find the support. So while the tanks are fighting up here, because this is a super standard set play, every team does this. They set their two tanks on top of the red building. And so San Francisco Shock was looking to push Fraggy off of the top of this and get a quick pick. Now, as they did that, they left Sleepy open, and it was actually a really nice adaptation from Philadelphia to send Shadowburn and Carpe around to kill Sleepy while there's three members of Shock up here. I actually am kind of surprised, though, that Shock manages to trade for Fraggy, because there's a Mercy right there trying to heal them, and they had the Instant Yada heals as well. But ultimately, that's going to be it's not going to be an even trade, because oh my goodness, Carpe just died. What happened? So oh, that's interesting. I think he just messed up, because what I think he should have done is, so as he blinks in to here, this is obviously easily flashbang, so what he should have done is blinked out and around, but he blinks in like this and gets killed. So I don't know if that was just a misplay. Otherwise I can't find any reason why he would, because then it forces Nevix at least to use his boost. He's got a Mercy coming in around this side who can heal him, and he's out of flashbang range from Baby Bay. That actually is big, though, because that makes this trade go heavily in favor of San Francisco Shock, but they still won't be able to push it for too long. And that's the other thing about this, is that both these deaths are not really resable for Philly Fusion, whereas Sleepy's death is. So they're going to get a cool, easy push on the payload. I think, I don't know what, Fusion's just sticking around a bit. I mean, at this point, there's not really anything they can do, so. They're going to have to regroup, though. I don't think they had to give up that much alt charge. I think Fusion has to be a bit more disciplined there, and they have to back off when one of their team members dies, so that they don't give up so much alt charge. But so going up, Fusion's going to be able to contest around right here. That's going to be important. But basically, what we have one ulti, another ulti coming up, and we have Valkyrie from Dak coming up really quickly. Whereas the only ultimate from Fusion that's coming up here is the self-destruct, and we know that, and Valkyrie, but we know that Poco is a monster with self-destruct. We know that for sure. So never discount that out. But right now, San Francisco Shock has control of the ultimate economy, and since Fusion is trying to defend this first point, this should be a relatively easy first point take, because I don't really see any way Fusion is able to win a fight here. Either Shock saves all their ultimates for the next fight, or they get these up and blow them right here, and there's nothing that Fusion can do to counter that, at least alt-wise, outside of some exceptionally crazy mechanical play.
Now, what you like about Fraggy is he opens up a lot of space for Shadowburn and Carpe. So even though he might die,
as we see Poco coming in, I think he's just trying to poke for his ultimate, but all the way behind. So that's really dumb. So you have Poco all the way over here, right? And then Fraggy just dives in with Carpe onto Sleepy, and Poco's nowhere near here. And the thing about tank lines is that you have to have, like, this Winston shield does not last at all, and so you have to have defense matrix on him, otherwise he's gonna die really quick. And so if Poco's not there, you can't defend this. That's the point take, actually. I mean, Shadowburn does get the... Oh my goodness. Never mind, Poco's a god. So... excuse me. That looked really dumb for a second. And it was really dumb. That was a horrible dive. But at the same time... so Shadowburn does clean up this kill. He is about 80% to ulti. Poco has his ult though, and so he tosses it up, and this is that's such a good ulti. And then Neptune reses Fraggy and Carpe, but they didn't actually need that at that point. That was overkill. Wow. But actually that Valkyrie is important though, because, well, here's the thing. Never mind, it's not important, because Dak actually used his Valkyrie in that fight after losing everyone. Actually, he got killed by the self-destruct, but... Alright, let's look at this self-destruct. Look what happens here. Alright, so we see... Where's Dak? Oh my goodness. Dak is Valkyrie, or he's Guardian Angeling to Dante. That's so sad. Oof. Oof. Anyways, so he dies. Going back to where we see San Francisco Shock. So San Francisco Shock does have the Primal Rage, they have the High Noon, and they have the Transcendence coming up. Now, Philadelphia Fusion's got to make use of this Pulse Bomb, and they also have a Transcendence to work with. But ultimately, the High Noon is not that useful here. You don't really have too many defensive shields for Baby Bay to make anything happen. Plus, there's a lot of mobility on the Philadelphia Fusion, so it's going to be hard to find someone. What he really wants to do is he wants to catch out Neptuno while he's in Valkyrie, but unfortunately, there is no Valkyrie, so I don't know what they plan on doing with this High Noon. At this point, actually, I would maybe consider switching to like a Pharah or a Widowmaker, someone who can put down a bit more constant pressure on the supports, because Baby Bay at this point is really just looking to deny these DPS. But the thing is, that's not very consistent, especially because this second market area is a lot more open than the beginning part of the map, so it's going to be harder to find flashbangs. And Dante gets picked. I don't think we even had any chance of seeing that. Pulse Bomb gets used by Carpe. This is some really weird dive shenaniganry. So why was that a weird dive shenaniganry? So one, Dante's dead, so this is the go button for Fusion. Carpe misses Pulse Bomb, but the thing is, Carpe has gone in here without tanks. And then Fraggy tries to follow up in an awkward fashion as to use his Primal Rage because, so, one, it's not wrong for Carpe to go in for a Pulse Bomb flank like this. This is absolutely the correct play. But, I don't know where Poco is. I don't see him over here. There's no Winston shield from Fraggy. So he has to use Primal Rage to literally stay alive. Which means that I don't know. I mean, he's zoning, and Poco's focusing down on Nomi, but where's the dive? Because you don't need. I mean, Shadowburn and Carpe can defend Boombox and Neptuno on their own, pretty much. Is what I'm saying. And they're in the back there, away from Fraggy. Okay, so where's Fraggy going? I don't know. He's getting over aggressive. He has to burn his Primal Rage, and I mean, to be fair, Nomi also burned Primal Rage because he also went in without his team. But I think that's worse from Fusion because they had the advantage, but they don't press the pick because their dive isn't coordinated. Sleepy gets a pick off on Boombox. Where was Sleepy positioned at? Oof, that's rough. Nomi. So Transcendence coming out. They get the res on Boombox, but ultimately they don't have Valkyrie. So this is going to be a pretty easy fight, unless, of course... Never mind. Poco does not have self-destruct, so they will just take this fight handily. So what happened there? So they're grouping up right here. There's Neptuno and the Shadowburn. Dante is going underneath, and so Sleepy's right about here. So Sleepy's going to get this key pick off right here onto Boombox in the back from right here, all the way across. There's a Winston shield and a defense matrix right there. Once Boombox is dead, that's the go button for the tanks. They can focus down Fraggy, which is who they want to kill first. Alternatively, so basically the reason they want to kill Fraggy first is because he's right there. He's easy. There's 3 members. They can get a Discord on him, and he should die very quickly, especially because there's no Discord coming out from there's no Transcendence one coming out from Boombox, and there's also no Discord, which will help destroy these tanks. Now Shadowburn is right there, and he's going behind. So that's another target they can think on focusing if Shadowburn goes in too early. Now Shadowburn should wait until they have engaged on Fraggy to go on to Sleepy, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, so basically Nevix goes on to Fraggy, and then the rest of Fusion turns around to go on to Shadowburn. So he I'm so confused as to what's going on with this team. So that's just poor target focusing. So basically, you really don't need Nomi. You want Nevix to go back there focusing Shadowburn, because Nevix does way more damage and has much better chase potential versus a Genji. So I don't know why you send now. You do want to have Nomi back here on your Sleepy, because Sleepy can't, dive back. So you need to have someone back here to protect Sleepy. That's for sure. I don't think you want Nevix to do that. And anyways, so they take out Shadowburn over back here. So now they gotta loop back around and dive onto the point. Though that the pop transcendence there, so that is actually kind of a win for Fusion. But at the same time, I think they actually should have saved their transcendence because this fight's already lost. So if Fusion saves their transcendence and then just peels backwards and doesn't try to fight, because they don't have Valkyrie, so they can't res Shadowburn no matter what. So they're going to be a man down no matter what happens in the fight. They can save their transcendence and then have the support alt advantage. Because right now they've been actually pretty much completely even with Shock in terms of alt advantage. They both have Valkyrie. Both Tracers just about have Pulse Bomb. The only difference is that Nevix has a self-destruct and Poco does not. But Poco builds his really quickly, and I think Nevix is about to use his. Now, what they can do is they can use Nevix's self-destruct to assault the high ground, but this is actually a little bit optimistic from Nomi because you want to wait a little bit longer for you want more people to show up here. Basically, you want to see Neptuno and you want to see Boombox. Now that was kind of more of an informational tour, I guess, but yeah, actually, there's literally nothing that was just for information. That was my bad. That was fine. Oof. So we have Dante on this side poking. They don't want to go too hard on this on the upper deck. So what's going on here is basically, so they want Dante, if they're going to try to do a full frontal assault on the upper deck, what they have to do is they have to get Dante in and around through the church so that they have pressure from all of their DPS and all of their tanks on the high ground. Because the problem is that you have Nomi and you have Nevix who can access that high ground, but Baby Bay can't, right? And Dante can, but he has to get a long flank across, you know. So it's really important that they are coordinated on this, but Fraggy and I think Carpe or Shadowburn, I can't tell from that outline, are guarding this flank really well. So anyways, so they throw Dante along the side, but what they're actually going to do is they're just going to push underneath and try and force them off of the high ground by just pushing the payload. Now, this is actually completely fine because there's no high ground hero specifically that is going to just sit up here and rain fire down except for Boombox, but you can deal with Boombox with like after the fight's over. Basically, you don't need to worry about him too much, but there is a Valkyrie, and so what San Francisco Shock's gonna want to do is they're gonna want to try and draw that out, possibly by, well, they just have to get a pick, really. They have to try and draw it out by getting a pick or investing their own Valkyrie. But at that point, I mean, they should only invest their own Valkyrie if they're very sure that they'll win the fight and gain a lot of ground off of it. Alright, that's probably going to be the end of the push. They invest Deadeye finally. So, that was a very good defense from... Oh, that was bad, actually. Holy cow, that was a horrible attack. Sorry, that was a good defense. That was a horrible attack. So basically, they immediately invest their Valkyrie, and then they completely lose the fight, while Philadelphia Fusion gets to keep their Valkyrie. So, immediately Sleepy dies, because Carpe is amazing at this game. And then when Shock tries to pop the Valkyrie to res him, Shadowburn is waiting there with the Genji ultimate, and although he dies to Deadeye, the fight's over because there's no supports from Shock, so there's nothing they can do. And this fight's just cleaned up by everyone on Fusion.
Yeah, they got baited into the courthouse on the lower level.
So in going into this next fight, Fusion has all of the cards. They've got both of their support ultis, which is huge. They have Poco's ulti, and they're gonna have Primal Rage. There's no support ultis on San Francisco Shock, and they only have the self-destruct and the Primal Rage to work with. They're gonna really be waiting for Dante to get pulse bombs so they can try and get a pick by assaulting the high ground. They really want to get onto Boombox. But Fusion's been doing a really good job of cutting off the access to Church, so Dante is not going to have any real way in through here. He could go on a long flank all the way around up the stairs through here, which is, if they want to do that, they have enough time to set something up for that, because Baby Babe will have enough pressure on the Widowmaker. He'll be able to stand about right up here and get some snipes off, and you only really have to worry about Shadow Burn.
And that meant a lot of ultimates are used. Maybe they now switching over to that Widowmaker. Billy said the court, the punishment was death. It was death for sure. Capital punishment. Usually it's not carried out in the courthouse. Well, not in most countries I'd like to visit. I thought this was
So they invest the Primal Rage right away. They get a pick on Sleepy, and they kill Dax. So this fight's over, but can't breathe. All right. Anyways, so there's a good play by Fusion where, so what they do is they know that there's a Widowmaker. They see him, and so they want to force a fight, because in a straight up brawl, Baby Bay is not that useful as Widowmaker. People are running around, the screen is going crazy, you can't really see what you're shooting at. Widowmaker's kind of useless. So instead, so they force the team fight. They're trying to get a pick off onto Neptuno, but they can stand behind the high ground. Dante doesn't really have good access, so basically, Philadelphia is able to brawl this, and that's easy because Widowmaker has to get a pick first before you can force a fight. Does get a nice return pick, but Carpe is going to be respawning and back in very soon. They might have to give up a little bit of ground, though. The spawn advantage is with San Francisco Shock. You can see they're pushing the payload while waiting for Carpe to come back, but this high ground is still very solidly in control of Fusion, which is good because they want to keep that Zenyatta on the high ground. And wow, that gets picked off by Shadowburn. Fraggy's kind of back here alone though, so that's not heartening to see. That's a really late Transcendence too. This fight's kind of over actually. There's no Valkyrie coming in for Philadelphia Fusion, so basically I don't know what's going on. What the heck? Alright. Oh hey, we got a viewer. Amazing. thanks for joining us, my dude. Anyways, alright, so let's go back and check this out. So that was a really weird fight. Alright, so Shadowburn picks up Dak and pretty much immediately gets traded for. Fraggy dives in completely alone. There's two support ultimates from Philadelphia Fusion. So at this point, the fight should be won. They should rush Shadowburn, get the fight. Now, the reason this fight is close at all is because Fraggy is back here with no one to help him. I don't know where Poco is at all. No self-destruct. There's not even a zoning self-destruct. Nothing. Fraggy's just back here all alone, which is really bad. In case you didn't see, because he dies for free. So now they have to pop. Well, this is weird to me. Neptuno is all the way in the back. Not even. So Fraggy dies all the way back here. Okay. All the way back here. Oh wait, no, never mind. What am I talking about? He doesn't die all the way back there. He dies. I'm stupid. Sorry. He dies at the payload. But what's weird to me is that they pop Transcendence, and then they just normal res Fraggy, which leaves Neptuno completely open to Dante before he can pop Valkyrie. So that makes no sense to me. They should have not invested the Transcendence, because there's nobody on San Francisco Shock they have to save Transcendence for. They don't have a Genji, they don't have a Soldier, they don't have a Pharah. So instead of just popping Transcendence, why not just pop the Valkyrie, which charges up faster anyway, so it's not like you're going to be without it forever. Instantly res frag instead of standing there in the Transcendence, making yourself an easy pick for a pulse bomb. And then you can res Shadowburn, and well, Shadowburn already respawned, but I don't know. This fight would be so easy if they just popped Valkyrie, is what I'm saying. But no, because they don't. They basically have this really weird long fight where neither team has their Mercy. And you see the initial picks going Fusion's way, but I don't know what's going to happen because logic doesn't work anymore. Rationality be damned. Alright, so Fusion sets back up on the high ground. That's good. Boombox spots out Dante. And constantly Fusion's just in this backline, which is I don't really see what happens because the observer is kind of focused on Dante here, so I don't know if I can actually analyze. But I mean, they're in the church, and Carpe and Shadowburn just kill Baby Bay and Sleepy, I guess. I mean, Dante's trying to pressure the cart, which is okay. I mean, he may as well. I mean, he's not in any danger at all, but yeah, it's just kind of sad.
Like that, then it opens up all kinds of opportunities. Nevix demeched already. I think he got the ult off. No, he didn't. That's going to be a big problem, man. They don't have their diva right now. Shadowburn, there's a Dragon Blade. He can finish this round right here, right now with a couple kills.
All right, we're in overtime. So let's actually talk about what's happening going into overtime here. So San Francisco Shock is trying to get into the they're trying to get into the payload because they're going into overtime. They have Baby Base swap to Genji, which is a good play. You don't really want to have Widowmaker in overtime because if you need someone to stand on the cart because your tanks are dead, Widowmaker will die instantly, whereas Genji can jump around. So Dante is coming up on Pulse Bomb. They have to build up a Genji ultimate. They don't have a Transcendence, so Shadowburn is basically free to work his magic. They're going to have to pop the Valkyrie right away pretty much to keep Dak alive. Now, the good news for Shock is that Poco does not have self-destruct, which means that Dak is actually going to be pretty safe while he's in ulti. There's not really anyone on Fusion who can take him out, unless he makes a big positional error. But right away, Fusion makes a good play. They're trying to poke down Shock's tanks, and they actually get Nevix out of mech, but he self-destructs, so he can get back in there. Shadowburn pops his ulti, and he's not in a great spot, so he doesn't really get anything out of that. That was a really unfortunate Dragon Blade. He doesn't, yeah. No one dies, but baby, oh my goodness. So they kill Poco. That is bad. But they get the res. So both the Valkyries are popped right. Both Valkyries are in place. So first pick gets rezzed. Sleepy dies. He's going to get rezzed. What the fuck, dude? When did they pop Valkyrie for Shock? He was just normal rezzing him, which is fucking weird. I won't lie, that makes no sense to me. Okay, I mean, because they popped their Valkyrie way too early there. They should have been able to insta-res that, which that basically just gives the map over to fusion, so that's kind of awkward.
Absolutely. And Julie back the reason that also died. Team has the res high. Below flattening that.
Alrighty.
I don't like we those much as the teams at Carpe. They're that.
Just skip ahead a little bit here. Alright, so let's see what happens. So, of course, the tanks are set up on the red building, as they always are. This is an interesting play. Fraggy jumps over here to scout ahead, I think. And also, I mean, that's kind of interesting. I like it. I like it. So, basically, Fraggy jumps over here instead of jumping up onto the building. What that does is the tanks run away because they're not sure where... well, because Carpe basically is going across, and so San Francisco Shock, they don't see Carpe, they don't see Shadowburn, I don't think, and so they know that their backline has to be protected, and so if Fraggy's over here and there's some, like, I don't know, like a Tracer and a Genji over here, their backline's at risk, so it actually forces their tanks backwards without really doing a whole heck of a lot.
Because it's going to force Shadowburn maybe to move over to Pharah. Yeah, ideally you limit the effectiveness of that DPS duo on Philly, and we'll see what they can do. Payload moving a little bit for the moment, but I gotta say I'm really.
So they're gonna take control of the stairwell. But Boombox is alone. There's not really any huge threats from Shock, though, so they feel pretty confident letting him sell in payload.
Shadowburn is on a long flank right now. He's coming around. He's actually just going to die to a mine.
Oof.
That's going to be a reset, but that's what you want. These are the kind of punishes that Shock have to have if they're going to win this match. Yeah, and that's the kind of punish you get if you have that junk grab that can put the traps in the right place.
Alright, so Carpe's going on the flank. They were just waiting for Shadowburn to come back. The thing is, so what they have to do is they have to get Shadowburn over the wall here and assaulting the backline. But they want to have Shadowburn posted up right here. And then Fraggy and Poco walk down through here with Carpe. Carpe can either go through main, because Carpe doesn't actually care about vertical movement. So the reason why Winston can't walk through here is because if he jumps, he hits onto this rooftop here. So basically, you can send Carpe through main, you can send your tanks through here, and you can send Shadowburn over the wall. And this basically allows you access to Dak, it allows you access to Sleepy, it allows you access to these guys. They just need to have the information of where their target is. Now, they want to prioritize Sleepy, because Sleepy doesn't have his Transcendence yet, so he's an easy pickoff. Once they do that, they can guard the body and stop Dak from getting a res, because Dak does not have Valkyrie yet, obviously. And then after that, they can focus down these two guys. The thing is, they just need to get onto a target. And as soon as they get onto Sleepy, I mean, Nevix and Nomi are going to respawn. So this is good positioning where the Zenyatta is really close to his tanks. So because he doesn't have any mobility. If Dak gets jumped on, he can run to his tanks, but Sleepy has nothing. So the tanks have to position close to the Zenyatta.
Standing very far back on the points, so that if Shadowburn manages to double jump his way through those walls, that he's going to get caught. So that's a good read there by Shock, and they're playing pretty far back actually. Oh, Dak in a little bit of trouble.
All right, so Fraggy gets picked off. Let's see why that happens, because Dante was focused on Carpe, so it's not Junkrat shenaniganry. Alright, so it looks like Fraggy was just in on the cart and alone and died because Poco wasn't defense matrixing him. But there are two picks looking good. Boombox and Neptuno are down though, so whereas Dak is still alive.
Not enough to get the payload to the end of point A. No, it actually didn't do anything. Shock handled that great just by playing aggressively with their tank line. As soon as they realized that their supports were starting to die, Nomi and Nevix jumped onto the supports of Fusion, took out Neptuno first, and that meant that
so coming up here we have both support alts coming up from Philadelphia Fusion, whereas we only have the Valkyrie coming up for San Francisco Shock, which means that they actually do have an advantage in a fight if they want to burn both just to cap the point. They are very close, so they can burn both of them to cap the point, get them both back very quickly, and because they don't have to push the whole way through the map. They only had to push to the second checkpoint. So it's actually totally fine if they want to burn both support ultimates to win a single team fight. Just Transcendence on the point and take out the, like, honestly, they just, like, Transcendence on the point just so they can eat through all of Junkrat's crap, because he's coming up with Riptire really soon. So that can be very frustrating in the middle of a team fight. They could brute force this, honestly.
I think you raised a really good point earlier when you talked about the movement abilities used to go in. I think that made the difference in that fight. And whoa, Dante making.
See, I don't understand how he gets Shadow Burn and Carpe there.
Really good point earlier when you talked about the movement abilities used.
Oh, Shadow Burn's right there. Never mind.
Whoa, Dante making the difference in this one.
Alright, so now there's no Riptire from Dante. So again, all they have to do is really brute force this one team fight. There is a Valkyrie available for Dak, and Sleepy's coming up with his. That was a really good Riptire because that does stall for support ultimates. And the more support ultimates that San Francisco has, the more likely it is that they hold this point. There's only 1:30 left, so basically ultimates, when they go down now, they're not going to come back until overtime. Carpe takes out Dante, that's huge. They popped the Valkyrie really early on San Francisco Shock, whereas Fusion are holding on to their ultis. So they can actually wait out this Valkyrie, and they actually really don't care as much that they lose that fight, because they got the Valkyrie out and they didn't expend anything for it. They do have to be aware of the Transcendence, which will hurt Shadowburn because he's going to try an ulti, but they can maybe force that out because they have so much sustain from their support ultimates, they can go for a really drawn-out fight. So Shadowburn really just has to hold on to his Dragon Blade here. Oh, we have a viewer. Welcome to the stream, my dude. So Shadowburn, if he blades here, I'm going to cry. He doesn't. Okay, thank goodness. Oh, this is another example where Poco is. Here's the thing. So Poco's got his self-destruct. He sends it in, right? He's remeching right now, and Fraggy is running in. You can't do that. You can't do that because if Winston is so weak without. Oh my gosh! And then they Dragon Blade. I hate life. Because that's exactly what's gonna happen. He had to hold on to the Dragon Blade until Sleepy has Transcendence. Or until Sleepy uses the Transcendence. But the reason why Winston is so weak is that without Defense Matrix on him, he gets melted super fast. And so he goes in while Poco is remeching, which makes zero sense. And now Philadelphia Fusions used both their support ultimates in a fight that they just got destroyed in because of two reasons. One, Shadowburn didn't wait to use the Dragon Blade. He wasn't patient enough. And two, Fraggy went in at a really, really dumb time. Now, I mean, I understand why he went in, but because he wanted to keep Philadelphia Fusion clumped up in that corner for a Dragon Blade. But that doesn't make sense. And this overtime's going to tick down. And it looks like going to be a full hold for San Francisco Shock. Wow. Didn't expect that. Alright, well that was kind of sad. I'm going to take a very quick couple-minute break, and we will be right back. Alright, we are back. So we're going to be doing Temple of Anubis next. Alright. Skip ahead. See if we can get into game here.
A little bit on attack when they had a moving objective and they couldn't necessarily make the
Alrighty. See if we can get this quality up a little bit. Source.
Into their Widowmaker. I'd be concerned if I was playing into this reasonable concern, although it looks like they may.
Alright, that is a lot better, not gonna lie. Alrighty. Let's do this. So
Need to go anywhere for a few hours?
alrighty, so let's see. Let's look at these team compositions. So we have Dive Comp coming out from San Francisco Shock, and then we have the pretty standard Orisa defense. Now, some teams have been going with a bit of a different style for the defense on Anubis, but the most common has definitely been Orisa for your main tank. But usually, it's combined with well, actually, on Anubis, it's usually combined with the Diva. On other maps, it's combined with the Roadhog. And then, of course, we have the Widowmaker, because the Widowmaker loves the Orisa shield. And then, finally, we got Shadowburn on the Junkrat. Anyways. Now, the Junkrat is probably the most interesting addition. Usually, teams run... Well, you know, it depends on the style. A lot of teams run the Tracer, some teams run the Genji, and others run like a McCree. But yeah, Junkrat's pretty standard on this map as well. Now the issue is, this is actually a really good defense specifically against Shock for one reason, and that's Shock's tank line is really uncoordinated, and when you have a bad tank line like that, this Junkrat's really gonna shine. So, and of course Carpe is just a monster. He's a monster. So, they're going to try maybe a head-on assault from this area. Usually, what we see teams do is the Genji goes around, tries to flank. That's a bad frame to pause on. But it looks like they're just going to try and do a head-on assault, which is kind of weird as far as I'm concerned. Carpe gets 2. So... Let's see. Was that a bad tank dive? It was. Alright. So Nevix goes up there. He's already at like... Oh my gosh. He's already dead as he gets up there. And then I don't know why Nomi goes up there. I mean, Nevix is gone. I don't understand, dude. This is such a weird... It's such a weird tank line. I don't get it. Though Shock did look a lot better against Spitfire last night, so that is one saving grace. But jeez, the tank line needs work, man. All right, so Baby Bay is kind of sitting on this right side because he knows that Boombox is over here and he wants to do Boombox. He wants to do Boombox dirty, but Shadowburn's amazing at this game. Now, I don't know where Nomi is, dude. If they're gonna commit to this kind of push, Nomi's got to be drawing all of their attention. So Dante and Nomi and Nevix are all over here. Now that is coordinated. That's good. But Baby Bay is going in. So here's the thing. Baby Bay can't go in until his team says that Shadowburn is completely focusing them. Right? If Shadowburn is lobbing bombs over here and he's not paying attention to Baby Bay, then Baby Bay can go in. But the problem is that, one, Baby Bay showed early. So Philadelphia Fusion knew he's been sitting here for a long time. There's 2 people here anyways. So there's Sleepy and there's, or sorry, not Sleepy. There's Boombox and there's Shadowburn. So basically, I mean, there's nothing Baby Bay can do because he goes in too early. Shadowburn's waiting for him, and that's just easy. And then the rest of Shock gets cleaned up because there's no one pressuring that Junkrat. It's just a really awkward dive. And it looks like we have a viewer on Twitch. So, hello, what is going on? Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I've had a lot of people trickling in and out, and so, cool. It's fun. It's always fun to have people show up. Anyways, so, I mean, yeah, we see Carpe just kind of cleaning house. Shadowburn gets another pick somehow. So, basically, at this point, Philadelphia Fusion's in complete control of this game. So they have the Junkrat Rip Tire, right? That's good. Baby Bay is not even close to his ultimate. He won't have it until Boombox has his Transcendence, so they'll have the Transcendence in their back pocket to counter the Genji. Both teams are going to have Valkyrie, and when both teams have Valkyrie, it always favors the defense. Because when the defense has the spawn disadvantage, having those reses available is super important. So in a Valkyrie fight, because of positioning and because of the spawn advantage, it always favors the defense. The one thing that San Francisco Shock do have going for them is they have the pulse bomb coming up. They're going to need to put Dante on kind of a long flank to get use out of that. And that is a huge pick. They're going to have to res it. Question is, can this Riptire find anything? Oh, he gets Dak. That's super big. That is fat. Yeah. They lost their opportunity there. I mean, as soon as Dak goes down, this Junkrat can outdamage the entirety of San Francisco Shock combined, pretty much. Alright, so that's a really uncoordinated dive. They burned the Valkyrie for it too. Alright, so Dak's trying to get in there. So we have, alright, so this is what confuses me. We have Nevix and Nomi right here. Okay, they're both together, and somehow Nomi's still gonna be he's still gonna die before Nomi or Nevix can defense matrix him, and they're gonna burn Valkyrie, but I mean, what do you do? So they burn Valkyrie and they burn Transcendence and the Genji. Dragon Blade. Neptuno has not even popped Valkyrie yet, so he's gonna have that for overtime. Oh my goodness. Wait a second. How did that? What just happened? So, okay, so Dak burns Valkyrie. Alright. So Baby Bay pops the Dragon Blade and gets Carpe. That's good. Nevix is desuited. Poco's self-destruct goes off. Dante dies. Poco dies. The Transcendence runs out. So this theoretically should be a good fight for Fusion right now. I don't... Because all Neptuno has to do, I think, is pop the Valkyrie. And then res up Poco or Frag. Well, Fraggy's already respawned. But they have to res Poco. And then they actually have a pretty decent shot. But because they have no tank line right now, there is nothing the supports can do to stop themselves. I'm dying. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, the difference with that push is San Francisco Shock finally adjusted their tanks to the opposite side of the point.
Alright, so moving forward.
The high ground where the Widow was starting, and so that time they bait them over there, and then they get.
So going into this next point, what do we have here? We've got a fat self-destruct, no support ultimates, and we have a Valkyrie on Fusion. Awesome. there's a Riptire as well. So I think what we should see Fusion do is they're gonna burn the Riptire to kind of stall out this defense, give them time to build up a Transcendence. I mean, as soon as Shock tries to commit, there's gonna be a Riptire in their face. So. Oh, but Fraggy gets picked. So Fraggy's sitting up here, which is a pretty generic spot. And they San Francisco Shock spots it out, and they have Baby Bay here, and they have Nevix going up as well. And so Poco is a little late on his defense matrix, and Fraggy gets killed very quickly. So they're gonna have to try and do a quick res with defense matrix, but they're gonna get zoned out. So they have to use that tire, and oof, Nevix dies while, or sorry, not Nevix. Shadowburn dies while using the tire. So that's bad. They don't even get anything off of that tire. So oof, they're gonna burn that Valkyrie. They kind of have to, but Valkyrie also coming out from Dak. Alright, so Shadowburn manages to find Sleepy in the backline because he swept off to Genji. So yeah, that was a good fight for Shock. They got 2 ultimates out of Fusion. They got the Transcendence and they got the Valkyrie. And that's huge. They only had to invest a Valkyrie and a Dragon Blade to get that. And Dragon Blade charges up really fast, so you're always willing to trade that for a support ultimate. It all started with Fraggy getting picked. So basically, Fraggy dies. And the problem right here is that there's no way for Neptuno to res this, because Baby Bay is pressuring the body very smartly. Shadowburn is trying to help out, but he's moving backwards right now so he can get a Riptire basically. Poco is moving back to protect his team, but the tanks of Shock are moving up together to pressure, which is great. They're waiting right here to dive, and they're looking for Sleepy, who's right there. That's who they're looking for. There's no way Neptuno can get this res off without dying. The Riptire comes in. Nevix flies back here and pops his self-destruct. That's going to find Shadowburn, who will get immediately res, but Poco's really low now, and he's out of mech. So basically, you have 1 tank back. You have Fraggy. You have the Valkyrie popped. And then that's pretty much a win already. I actually think that it's a mistake because Dak uses his Valkyrie at the end of the fight, I think. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But basically, Boombox got his ult now. Baby Bay got his ult. So Baby Bay is just going to invest his Dragon Blade to pop the Transcendence. And that's going to make their next push really strong. Wait a second. Dak invests his Valkyrie. Oh my gosh. So Dak shouldn't invest his Valkyrie at this point. They have the spawn advantage. Sorry, Fusion has the spawn advantage. And they had already burned Neptuno's Valkyrie. So if they pull back, they would have had a double support advantage. They would have been able to take it on the next push, most likely. Because all they have to do is hold their Transcendence for Shadowburn's Genji ultimate, and then there's no other offensive ults from Fusion that can wipe their team. And then they can use, if anyone individually dies, they can use their Velk to do it, but they don't have Velk now because they burned it on that fight.
Poked off the high ground. Got that red zone. He's deadly with it. Dante beating the deadly end of Shadowburn Shuriken.
So I don't know how Dante dies there, but that's a pretty decent pick. Okay. So Dante goes on a flank. Shadowburn just punishes him individually.
Got that red zone. He's deadly with it. Dante beating the deadly end of Shadowburn Shurikens. Is that how you say that? I don't know.
And so as soon as Dante's dead, they feel very free to push up because there's no one pressuring Philadelphia's supports.
The Mercy not close enough, and everybody on Philadelphia pushing forward means the Mercy's just not going to have a chance to resurrect. A lot of these advantages are now disappearing as Neptuno and Boombox reach
So there's 6 alts coming up for Philadelphia Fusion right now. There's Dak has his Valkyrie coming up, but Neptune already has his, and so now there's no more any opportunity for San Francisco Shock because Dante died. That lost a lot of momentum, but Sleepy finds a cool pick, forces out the Valkyrie from Neptuno. That's big. Shadowburn, actually very patient with his Dragon Blade. He learned from last game. Doesn't find anything though. Unfortunately, not gonna get rezzed up. Wow. So yeah, because of the spawn advantage, even though Shock gets a lot of picks, they're not gonna be able to take this point because all of Philadelphia Fusion is gonna respawn very quick. So let's check out that fight. That was a really... The thing about these fights is that they're super scrappy and that there's a lot of things going on at the same time, and people are dying kind of randomly. Both of these teams are not super disciplined compared to some of the higher teams in the league, like, say, LA Valiant or New York Excelsior or whoever. So basically, Sleepy finds a pick on Boombox, which is big. He's falling down. So immediately, that's going to trigger... Shock to go in, but Nomi is kind of in here alone, which is unfortunate. Boombox is going to get rezzed up though, because Neptuno has to pop the Valkyrie. Now as soon as Valkyrie is popped from Neptuno, Valkyrie and Transcendence are popped by Shock, which is not ideal. You don't want to be doubling up on these support ultimates, obviously, but the other thing that it does is it exposes them to Shadowburn's Dragon Blade, who does... I mean, all he's waiting for is Transcendence to end at this point. As they're going in, he pops the Dragon Blade. He does get killed pretty much instantly, though, by this nice self-destruct. I don't know if it's the self-destruct that kills him, but it's the zoning potential that's really good. Nomi finishes him off. But in the brawl that happens, people are getting rezzed, people are dying. So Dax used both his rezzes, and Neptuno's used both his rezzes. And then as soon as both those rezzes come in, Shadowburn kills Baby Bay, and Poco kills Nomi. And so that's big. So basically after this point, Fusion is winning the fight because they have the man advantage, and there's no more rezzes on the field. And, of course, they have the spawn advantage as well because they're on defense. And so that whole push is kind of rendered useless because Dak and Sleepy used both of their ultimates. And Boombox and Neptuno they don't have any support advantage because of it. So they forced out both of the defensive support ultis from Fusion, but they don't have any offensive support ultis for them to use in the next fight to gain them any kind of advantage. So ult-wise, these teams are completely even right now, which is not really good going into the last minute. If you're going to go for an overtime push, you want to have that Valkyrie advantage, if possible, or just have the Valkyrie in your back pocket. But Dak's only at 25% right now, whereas Neptuno's at 60%, so that actually the defense is going to have the Valkyrie advantage. Oh my goodness, Nomi dies. Nomi dies. Or not Nomi. Fragi. Fragi dies. So we're going into the overtime push. There's Transcendence coming up right now. So he just has to wait out the Transcendence and then Shadowburn. Oh, Dante. That's important. So Neptune is going to get the res on to Shadowburn. Dak's coming up on his Valkyrie. If they can hold this point, they're not going to have Sleepy no matter what, but they might be able to... Nope, that's Gopher. So let's rewatch that fight. So basically, kind of going into the last 40 seconds or so, we have big things happening. So San Francisco is pushing up through the main choke with all their heroes. Carpe, Shadowburn are kind of harassing the backline. This is important because they want to take out Sleepy so that Shadowburn has a free Dragon Blade. Goes in. Waiting. Alright, this is, so basically the Winston shield is down. It's on the supports. Baby is right here, and the tanks want to go in, but the tanks can't go in because Winston has no shield. This is actually an opening for Fusion. They're pushing forward. They're taking ground. This is good. Shadowburn has his Dragon Blade. They use Primal Rage to force the engage because without the Winston shield, they just need to have some beefiness going in the front line if they want to engage. But Nevix is sending in his bomb. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to push these supports, well, and Carpe into the Nevix's self-destruct. It's not going to find anyone, I don't think. Yeah, Nomi is not that good. So Dak's going to fall in the back line because while the tanks are pushed up, Carpe has been focusing this guy, and Fraggy's going to jump in to contribute some damage, and then it's going to be a really easy poke. And so that's really nice coordination right there from Philadelphia Fusion. Something we haven't seen as much from them is that nice target selection where Carpe, Fraggy, and Shadowburn are all on the same target at the same time. Now, Dante does kill Shadowburn before he can pop off the Dragon Blade, but of course Neptuno has the Valkyrie in his back pocket, and Dak's not even in this fight, so he's not building up any ult charge right now. So when he gets back to the point, he's not going to have Valkyrie. And so this fight's basically completely going the way of Philadelphia Fusion, and they only get 33% on the point, which means that Philly actually has a very solid, they have a very easy win, basically. But if we go forward, this is actually, I don't think Philly's actually going to play this, but on the side of San Francisco Shock, it's interesting to see the Ana come out on defense. We don't see that as much. It is potentially good, though, because, well, really your only nano boost target is Diva, but that is actually pretty big, especially for taking out flankers. And they've been they've been struggling against Carpe, and they've been struggling against Shadowburn. So that Sleep Dart, that Bionade, and the nano boost are all going to be really good for taking out those flankers, protecting their backline. They do lose out on the Transcendence, though, which is always, well, they do lose out on the Transcendence, but they also lose out on the Discord Orb, which is very important for these early holds against flankers and against the tanks. Coming in, this is the really interesting part of Philadelphia Fusion's attack. They have Widowmaker, and they have a Junkrat. So the problem is, against these Orisa defenses, I don't really know what this DPS combo does, because Junkrat isn't going to be able to chip down the Orisa shield fast enough where he's going to get a lot of unanswered poke onto San Francisco Shock, and Carpe is going to have to work around some really interesting sightlines to manage to kill anything, really. They're just pushing in.
Running the Junkrat and the Widowmaker on attack, and they're playing very patient.
They're going to swap off to Genji. Swap off Carpe to Genji, which is good, and I think that's what they should do.
That's wise, and they know they're going to have to dive now. But where's Shadowburn going to position with this is the real question. He's going far around the side. I was going to say he's probably going to have to take a long.
Alright, so Baby is going to pick Shadowburn. That's always useful. They may or may not res this.
Still got 5 team members trying to take control of the high ground over the point.
If they choose not to res this, I don't know why they keep pushing, because I mean, obviously they're getting a little bit of an some ult charge here, but ultimately Dante is going to have the advantage shooting Junkrat stuff through this choke, and they don't have their own Junkrat to combat that. So it doesn't make sense to me why they would. So Fraggy jumps in early. I don't. Well, Nomi is just sitting on this high rise, and that's kind of interesting. Okay, I can't really see what's going on because we're all in Shadowburn's point of view, so I don't see what's happening there. But Fraggy goes in, and he's taken on Baby Bay. Now Dak jumps in immediately. What they would like is for Poco to come in and intercept Dak so that his Guardian Angel gets interrupted, and then Carpe can go in with the Genji. But it doesn't look like that happens. They just focus on Baby Bay. They don't focus on Dak at all. So they're not going to get any kind of pick to speak of. And of course, Fraggy and Pilcore are just going to go down because they don't have enough healing to heal through a Junkrat.
Yeah, that got a little crazy there towards the end. That could have ended very
All right,
poorly
so
with Dak dying.
moving forward, we have the Nano Boost already up for Anna, and then of course the Valkyrie is coming up for Neptuno, much faster than it is for the Dak. There's no Transcendence on San Francisco Shock, so as soon as Carpe gets his Dragon Blade, the only thing they have to worry about is Sleep Dart, basically. And that's going to be their go time, I think, because that's going to force out the Valkyrie if Dak has it, and if they manage to kill Dak before that, then they should have a pretty free fight. Either way, they can really afford to burn this Dragon Blade early because there's nothing to counter it. So they're going to be trying to get into position here. This whole area is... I'm not convinced by it because Junkrat spam is so strong here, but they don't have a Junkrat right now. So basically, Dante's going to have free... Oh, that is really unfortunate. So basically, Junkrat's over here, and he can just spam freely across. So they do have to go right now, because if they sit across here and they're on the other side, they're not going to have enough pushing power. That Junkrat trap was so clutch. He's going to get rezzed right away, though. And the thing is that even despite the Dragon Blade not getting anything at all, they managed to get both of the supports of San Francisco Shock anyways, so it doesn't even matter that they all die. What happened to that Rip Tire? Where did it go? I am confused. Alright, so they only had to get a tick on the second point, and I wanted to say, oh, welcome to the new viewer. Oh, and he's gone. Ripperino. Anyways, but going forward, so what I want to comment on with this second point is that you got Boombox with his Transcendence, and you have Dak with the Valkyrie. So basically what Philadelphia Fusion wants to do right now, since they have 5 minutes to work with and they only need one tick, force out that Valkyrie with the dry push. They want to push really quickly here. Maybe they can even... they can expend the Primal Rage if they want to. They don't really care. They just need to get the Valkyrie out of Dak so that next push they can get a really easy time taking this one tick. They're going to pop the Primal Rage. There's nothing on the side of... Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, so they force out the Valkyrie, which is really important because the Primal Rage actually ends up taking out Nomi. And so... this push is basically over from Fusion, but it got exactly what they wanted. The spawn advantage is going to be too strong from San Francisco Shock. They're not going to be able to stand here and fight forever while Shock is respawning. Boombox did end up using the Transcendence. I'm not really sure what happened there. I don't think they needed to. They could have just all died, and it wouldn't really matter all that much. Because Neptune was coming up on Valkyrie, and if they have Valkyrie and Transcendence, and San Francisco Shock only has Transcendence, that's a huge win. They're going to send in the self-destruct first right away. And so they're going to burn the Fusion, burns the Valkyrie. They're going to bring people up. Now, Baby Bay, it looks like he just burned his ultimate, and there's no Transcendence on Boombox, so he's going to go down. And that's why they maybe should have... Wow, actually, that's a huge play from Shadowburn. But I was going to say, that's probably why they should have saved Transcendence from the last fight, because they wouldn't have to worry about that. Doesn't matter anyways. Big plays. They're going to get this ticket, looks like, because there's 6 players on the point right now, and once you're playing point defense on offense, you're in a really good spot. Transcendence already comes back from Boombox. Wow, that's huge. Man, Shadowburn's Dragon Blades have been really iffy this match. He hasn't been able to find anything. He's also, like, especially on the last map, he wasn't waiting out for the Transcendences, so that's got to be worrying a little bit. He's had a lot of big plays so far, but just in this match in particular, his Dragon Blades have been really, really bad. Dax Valkyrie is running out. That's going to be the tick, I think. They're bringing out the stall comps now too, which is huge because if you're bringing out a stall comp at 3 minutes, the issue with that is your entire ult economy gets reset, and then even if you do manage to hold the point, you don't get to hold it for very long because you lose all the ult advantages, and you're going to lose the next fight. And there it is. Easy. Easy clap. Alright, I'm going to take a real quick break and come back.
They have a very talented lineup. How much talent is on this team? There goes Nevix, gaining some more progress.
Alright, I am back, and we're on to the third map, which is Oasis.
What a spectacle, man. Wow, Baby Bay has just been on fire. Good tide for the first showing.
Got my water. I'm ready to go. So, let us just skip ahead all of this crap. Alright, so the thing about Oasis is that it's always a lot of fun. We get to see a lot of the interesting characters that are a little bit more niche that we don't get to see as much. We get to see the Pharah, of course. We get to see a lot of different things. Now, one thing I find interesting right now is that neither team is running the Orisa Roadhog. Now, I don't think we saw it as much in week 2. We maybe saw it from Dallas Fuel. I can't remember. But an interesting new comp on City Center of Oasis is you run a Orisa Roadhog and you take control of this side of that side of the Oasis. But we're not going to see that here. That's a little bit of a different strategy that you can try. But yeah, not running it. Unfortunate, because I actually really like that team comp. But anyways, right away, the tanks of both teams actually are trying to take control of this. Now, here's the thing, though. There's no boost from Poco, so they can't actually punish Nomi for being positioned so aggressively, even though you would like to. I'm going to knock him off, though. They're looking for the opportunity to engage, so right in this area is actually kind of really good for Philadelphia Fusion, because Shadowburn's going to be able to spam rockets very easily with no real pressure being put on him. So that's going to be great. Dante is coming out. Oh, wow. Neptuno gets sniped by Sleepy. So Sleepy's actually been really good on the Zenyatta so far on this map, which has actually been really fun to see. But because of that really good pickoff, they're also going to get Neptuno as he tries to res. Sorry, Boombox as he tries to res, because Neptuno swapped to Lucio. That's going to give Shock initial control of the point. It's also going to give them a huge advantage in the support ults, which is big because obviously those are super important when you're trying to retake. So that's actually going to give a pretty decent amount of control percent to San Francisco Shock as they, just by winning that first fight. And really, Philadelphia Fusion at this point is just trying to find some picks, maybe. Because if there is no support ultimates yet, so if they do find a pick, they do have a chance to retake and get some support ult. But but that's not going to happen. Support alts are going to come up. Deadeye's going to be up, and so it's going to be all San Francisco Shock. And we're just going to have to wait until Boombox and Neptuno finish their alties, which is going to be pretty soon now. They only got about 20% for free, and then this next fight is going to be huge. So there's 5 ultimates from San Francisco Shock, and there's only 2 ultimates from Fusion. So Fusion might benefit from doing a dry push to just draw out one of the ultimates, but I'm not sure if it actually matters as much because the offensive ultimates from San Francisco Shock, which is the Primal Rage, the Self-Destruct, and the High Noon, are not going to be doing as much damage to the Philadelphia Fusion as, say, like a Genji Dragon Blade or, well, really just a Genji Dragon Blade, but like or a Riptire, actually. So I think it's important that we see Boombox and Neptuno. We see how they use these ultimates, and I think it's okay if they burn one of them on a push here, as long as they are able to draw out an equal support ult from San Francisco Shock. So they burn the, so all right, so that's perfect. So the Lucio ulti burns the Valkyrie, and they kill Baby Bay, who will get rezzed up. The Self-Destruct also comes out. That's huge. They get 3 ultimates for 1. And then now Boombox pops his ultimate just to keep his team healthy. But that's huge. Oh. Okay, now it's no longer huge. Baby Bay picks off Neptuno and Shadowburn. That's going to be going all San Francisco Shock's way. The thing is that, I don't know, Fusion, I think they just need to have better discipline, honestly. Their ult management has been a little lacking in this match. And also their coordination between their tanks is an issue, but their ultimate, they're drawing out ultimates for very little, and then they're burning everything they have because they are like, oh, we got the advantage slightly. It's like, no, just wait for that ultimate to run out. Wait for Valkyrie to run out and then spend everything to try and get kills. Because if you get the kill while the Valkyrie is still up, it gets rezzed. I guess they don't get that yet, though. It's fine. I'm okay with that.
I really like it when we've seen Shock play the big composition in this series. Punishing members of the Philadelphia Fusion very nicely with that flashbang, and Boombox looking.
That was really bad dive. Same kind of thing I've been talking about. Poco is not there to defense matrix Fraggy as soon as his shield goes down, and if you don't have that going, Fraggy's gonna die instantly. But that is an excellent self-destruct from Poco, as we all expect to see at this point in time.
With a real chance to flip the point here. Now finally they're going to get it back, but it will be at 99%. So Fusion going to have to run it all the way back from 99 to 0 to take this map.
It's not going to be easy. You're going to need some pretty epic defense to hold this one. It's possible, but it's tough.
Yeah, they're looking at trying to take this high ground.
Alright, so ult advantage is going the way of Philadelphia Fusion. They have the Shadowburn Dragon Blade. There's no Transcendence to counter this. So this is going to be a good push. This will be an easy defense for the Fusion if they are able to find Shadowburn into a good spot. The only thing they have to worry about is the flashbang from Baby Bay, and of course the Valkyrie from Dak, who can res people if they do happen to die. Now Shadowburn gets dropped low. This is huge. They pick off Shadowburn. That's going to force the Transcendence from Neptuno because Shock is at 99%. They can't allow anything to happen here. This is a big Dragon Blade. Fat. It's fat. And oh my goodness. See, this is the issue. I didn't realize it, but Dak had just burned Valkyrie. And I don't... This is really frustrating. The lack of discipline coming out from both of these teams with regards to their support ultis is very problematic, because if they had just gotten the pick onto, they have 99%, they have time to work with. If they just are content with drawing out the Dragon Blade and the Valkyrie. Then they're going to have 2 support ultis when Fusion only has 1, and they have time to work with. It doesn't matter. But instead, they lose that. They're only going to have 1 support ulti to fill it Fusion's 1. The Transcendence does get popped, though, which is good for Shock. But they're not going to have anything to capitalize on that because they're only working with 1 Transcendence themselves. Oof. I mean, it's like the thing is that they're relying on their own individual skill to get picks, and that's not going to work against a team that has a better coordinated tank line, better coordination with their support discipline. It's the thing, yeah, Shock just isn't skilled enough individually to make that work. They have Baby Bay who can find some really clutch plays, but they don't have anyone who can do that consistently, and that's really frustrating to see.
It was closer than they would have liked. We don't see very many close matches like a very go ahead.
We go again. Full shadow edge. Excellent
Oh, I went too far ahead. All right. So Baby Bay will be playing the Pharah on this point, as well as his counterpart Shadowburn. We're going to be seeing mirror comps. Of course, Lucio is always really good on the, I don't know, I forgot what point this is. Is it Gardens or? Yeah, this is Garden. We're going to call this Gardens. Anyways, Lucio is always good on Gardens because he's got a lot of vertical mobility. He can also speed up your Pharah to get her to the point really quickly, and if your Pharah gets to the point first, you actually have a huge advantage in that Pharah v Pharah matchup, because you're gonna have positioning. You can pre-fire angles, which is really big, because if you just pop out around the corner and there's, excuse me, a Pharah rocket in your face, that really sucks. But yeah, the Pharah v Pharah is important. Now, I like how Shock is actually taking this high ground right away. Well, this is frustrating. Poco has pushed onto the high ground all alone again. I love it, dude. Best strategy. But no, I like how the tanks take this high ground, because it gives them more pressure onto Shadowburn, who then has to focus on, and he's got to be spending rockets down here instead of focusing on Baby Bay. Now, Poco does boop Nomi off, which I actually didn't see, so that actually ended up being pretty okay. But the defense matrix will run out eventually, and we get this Pharah battle, which is really fun. What I find interesting is that both teams' tanks are completely ignoring the other team's Pharah entirely, even in situations where I think they might have had a chance to do something about it. Like Baby Bay is right here. Poco definitely has his speed boost, and Shadowburn is trying to find a rocket. I mean, I'm pretty sure he hits him right here. Yeah, he hits him. If Poco runs up there, they could get a pick there, but I think that's probably just a communication issue from Philly. Fraggy does manage to find Sleepy. I don't know how that happens. I can't really see. So Fraggy's over here just kind of... See, this is frustrating. Why isn't Nevix booping this guy away? What happened there? Okay. So Nevix uses his boost to get around, and then Fraggy hops in there, and Nevix is not even helping Dak out at all. So that's a little annoying, not gonna lie. Shadowburn finds Dante, and that's gonna be all she wrote for this first take. Right out of the gate, Sleepy only has 53% on his Valkyrie, but the big story here is Dak being at 68% compared to Neptuno's 50%. The Pulse Bomb is up for Carpe, so that's going to be big. They have to burn the res to save Baby Bay. I don't know. So, what Shock wants to do with this team fight is they want to try and force out some kind of ultimate here. They're just trying to put pressure on. They want to wait until Philadelphia uses an ultimate, and then they have the advantage because they're going to have 2 support ults coming up here. And if they can burn out Boombox or Neptuno, they have time to work with. And then they'll have 2-to-1, basically, which is what you want.
will be trying to dive into the back lines, but they're going to get
And Nevix is getting caught out. Oh my goodness, what a surprise.
Down easily. Dante dies to Carpe as well. Already short-handed. Shadowburn has to exit.
Baby hitting a slick couple of rockets there. And see, this is the issue with both of these teams that I've been harping on for a while now. There's no discipline with their support ultimates. As soon as the ultimate comes up, they are like spamming the Q key because apparently I guess they think the other team doesn't have their ultimates. I don't know why though, because they should have at least some idea that Boombox is really close to having Valkyrie. They should have some idea that Lucio or Neptuno probably has his drop the beat, but they're just spamming their support ult, like their keys, without giving a second thought to what happens in the game. When they're at 90%, you can't punish that. You can't punish a 10% difference. You can only punish a 20% or greater difference in support ultimate, because otherwise his support ulti is going to come up in the fight unless you kill them first. But if you don't kill them first, if you pop Valkyrie when the other guy is at 90%, that's not punishing him, because he's going to have it in the middle of the fight and he'll be able to get 2 reses off just like you. So that's frustrating for me, at least. Valkyrie gets popped right away from both teams, and the Lucio shield comes out as well. Reses are coming out. Neptuno immediately pops his thing so that they can keep control of the point. Ultimately, this goes in favor of Philadelphia Fusion, because even though they burned both support ultis, even though they maybe didn't need to, like, here's the thing. Like, if San Francisco Shock blows both their support ultis, it's not a mistake from Philadelphia Fusion to burn both their support ultis, because they're going to stay even. It's up to the attacking team to force the defensive team into a support ulti disadvantage, because if the support ultis are equal, the advantage always goes to the defending team because they have the positional advantage from the map.
They're trying to jump in onto Neptuno right now.
See if it works out. Frankie does get the kill on the DAC. Good start for Philly already here.
Ugh, Sleepy's going to get caught.
No chance getting out of that one. Where he has
That's really unfortunate.
now it's just air to air. Straight up. Baby Bay, one
Now, the other thing is, I didn't see how they were using Barrage, so Barrage is also a big thing. Because there is no Transcendence, you can actually you have a chance to get some decent kills with Barrages here, so it's going to be important to see how they use it, but we actually we're probably not going to get a chance, because it looks like Philadelphia is just going to take this point. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
And he just waits him out. Just good patience there for the elimination.
ball to make it easier to hit with the
There it is. All right.
And going to use opportunity a lot because Shatter did.
This is fun.
So now we are finally on University. All right, so this is where we get to see a lot of fun things happen. All right.
Gardens can be a bit long sometimes, but I do love University.
Yeah, triple tank for both players too. Sleepy will be going with a Moira, so they're going to try and group up on some of these choke points to get.
Alrighty, so I actually like this. So this is a weird combo from San Francisco Shock. I would have liked to see the Arisa instead of the Reinhardt. It's kind of more of a standard play, because that combos with the Hog so well, and the Hog is so strong on this map because his hook can reach all the way across the point. It's amazing. But basically, I like how they come around behind Philadelphia Fusion. I think that's a good play. What it does is it forces the tanks away from their... I can't even remember who's on that side. Forces the tanks away from their supports, and it gives them an easy entrance onto the point. No healing for the Philadelphia Fusion. And, I mean, I think that was a really smart heads up play. I like the combination of the Lucio and Moira, but they're probably going to want to switch Lucio to a Mercy at this point, because that's going to give them a really big help in holding this point. I don't think the Lucio is great for the initial push, but after that he's not going to be as strong. Now what that does do is it resets your Valkyrie economy. So basically, if you do swap off the Lucio to the Mercy right now, Neptuno's got a 41% lead on the Valkyrie. But the thing is, once he gets that Valkyrie, they already have the advantage because Valkyrie is a better support ulti than the Lucio is. So you have, in terms of the support ult economy, you have Coalescence and you have Drop the Beat on Shock's side, and then you have Transcendence, and then you have Valkyrie on Fusion side. So Fusion has higher value ultimates all across the board, which means that you can take that 41% deficit on your Mercy Valkyrie and still end up being okay. Because once you have it, it's so powerful. It allows you to retake if they do cap with the Valkyrie. And it allows you to just kind of stall this point for a lot longer than you would with the Lucio in the first place anyways. And the other thing is, like, right there, see, like, Carpe just gets a random pick on Baby Bay. You get to erase that if you have a Mercy, but you don't because you have a Lucio. And this gives a big opportunity for Philadelphia Fusion. And they're probably going to cap right now because they have the Mercy. Coalescence will delay, though. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it is a powerful ult, but it will run out. And as soon as it runs out, I don't see what you do. At this point, probably just swap off the Lucio. I mean, wow. Yeah. So let's actually see what Philadelphia did to come in here while I was talking about support ultis. Alright, so they capped the point. They're getting their support charge and everything. So Carpe comes around the side, and Baby Bay is not focused at all on him. He's trying to find shots into San Francisco Shock. And so he uses his flashbang, and then Carpe is going to come around. They're not going to get the kill into Poco because there is obviously a Mercy, but they do demech him. Fraggy kind of jumps in and doesn't get anything done, but they managed to kill Dante. So right now both teams are even, but there is Neptuno on the Mercy, so they will have the res. It's big. They get Fraggy resed up, easy peasy. Carpe tries to find another flank, but he's gonna go back. He's gonna protect his Fraggy. And there's the hammer down coming out along with the high noon. That's gonna kill Nomi. And that's going to be about all she wrote. They can burn... well, never mind. They can't, actually. I was going to say they can burn High Noon, but they can't because they don't have it. At this point, Sleepy really should probably swap to Mercy. Now, since you're so close to the Lucio ultimate, you should probably swap the Moira, especially because you just burned the Moira ulti. So, not going to have that up for another 30 seconds, right? But the thing is, so there's two support ultis from Fusion compared to the one from Shock, so Fusion only needs to burn one ultimate here. And since San Francisco Shock is still sticking with the Lucio and the Mercy, which is really awkward, and I don't understand why, they don't really have any solid opportunities where they'll actually have an advantage over Philadelphia Fusion. They're basically relying entirely on their own individual skill to win this point, which doesn't make sense. There's no point where they actually will have an advantage. I mean, they can beat drop this, but it doesn't make sense. Why would you beat drop there? Like, you're already dead. The beat drop is not going to save you. Maybe use a Transcendence, but even then, like, that's still a huge ultimate that you just got out. Basically for free. There's 20% on the board for Fusion, so you don't actually have to worry about capping at that point. So there's no reason to use the beat drop, and that's your most important support ulti. You need to hold on to that until you've gotten Transcendence out from Boombox, or until you've gotten Valkyrie out from Neptuno. And if you don't do that, then the problem is that you're just never going to have the advantage in terms of support ultis. You're never going to have that sustain that you need to retake the point.
He's going to get D-Mac pretty easily here. No, actually, for the moment here does get demecked eventually. Carpe coming in from the outside.
That's a nice graviton, but whew, Carpe is gonna be a monster.
Hunting down Nevix gets a little bit of healing from the breather here, but once more, Carpe, they just don't.
So that was a nice positioning play from Philadelphia Fusion. So what happens is, so it's a good engage, basically. So they're coming in, they run around through there, in that direction. What they're trying to do is they've got two ultis. They have the Graviton, they have the Hammer Down. Trying to find something. They get Poco Demech, that's huge. They burn the Transcendence from Boombox, which means that now Dante has big opportunity for a Graviton Surge, but Carpe isn't in there, so he's able to just stand on the side, picking people off. There's also the Valkyrie from Neptuno, so he can res anyone. There's no way that Philadelphia Fusion can actually catch this point, even though they got a really good engage, because they don't have the Valkyrie, and they don't have any high-value support ultimates available, because they burned the Lucy ulti on the last fight that was completely lost, no matter what. And we'll see at the end now that they're switching to Mercy Transcendent, or Mercy Zenyatta, but it's kind of too late, because there's 80% on the board. Fusion has a huge advantage. They've got a 40% lead on the Transcendence. They're going to have their support ultimate going into overtime. You see, this is a nice high noon. It just zones them out. They don't want to lose their shield. And Nomi peeks. What the that was lucky, but good lord. Okay, actually, like, did he get booped or something? Like, oh my goodness. He actually got booped by the Zarya grenade. So that's huge. That's actually a big play from Shadowburn. And I mean, Boombox is going to have his Transcendence up. Unless you get a pick on Boombox, which they didn't, there's no way they win this fight. And that's going to be all she wrote for San Francisco Shock. Easy game, easy life. Alright, I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back. Alrighty, we are back, and we're going to be looking at the final point on Eichenwalde. So, let us get right into it. Oh shoot, I forgot to get water. That was the whole point of the break. I needed to get water. Oh well, we'll live through it. Alright, that was a bit too far ahead. Alright, so let's look at these team comps. Actually, I don't think they're going to run the Sombra. Yeah, okay. So let's look at these team comps. So we got a full dive comp from San Francisco Shock. They will be running the Pharah instead of the Genji, which isn't super surprising because Pharah is really, really strong on Eichenwalde, especially on the first point. She can get around the she can do these really long flanks, get around behind the supports, do lots of damage, put lots of pressure out. Philadelphia Fusion is going to be going for an interesting defense, actually. I don't think I've seen this from any other team, but doing the Zarya, Reinhardt, and Diva triple tank with Carpe on the McCree. So I don't know what this does for sure, but I think maybe what it does is it's really beefy, so there's not going to be any real way for Baby Bay to get any picks on people without Barrage, but Barrage also leaves you super vulnerable. So it's going to be very hard for Baby Bay to actually pressure with the Pharah. It's a pretty beefy team comp, so Dante's not going to have any targets outside of Carpe and the two supports. And then, of course, you have Carpe and Zenyatta to pressure out the Pharah as well. So I think this actually is a pretty decent team comp. I don't know how well it'll work getting engages off against San Francisco Shock, because the issue is Graviton. It's going to be hard to cap. Like, it's going to be really hard to get a Graviton onto the Pharah Mercy combo or onto Tracer. Really, you're just looking for the tanks and Sleepy, which isn't bad necessarily, but that also means that Valkyrie is going to be a very high value support ultimate for Shock, because he will probably be able to res basically everyone out after Graviton ends. You might use the Graviton and accomplish literally nothing. So there is that danger, as well as with so much verticality, the hammer down isn't going to be as good as you would like. But overall, I think this is a solid defense comp coming out from the Philadelphia Fusion. We see, of course, Baby Bay poking. So the positioning on the point is pretty standard for what you'd see for a comp like this. They're backing up. Obviously Fraggy can't really do much until Nevix and Nomi engage onto the point. Sorry, that is not Fraggy. That is Shadowburn. But either way, these tanks can't really do anything until there's an engage. And so if San Francisco Shock just kind of sits back and pokes with Dante and Baby Bay until someone from Fusion steps out of line, that's how they win this point. That's how they take this.
That's going to be the go button for San Francisco as they try to take point A here. Dante with a couple.
He just punished the Mercy incredibly hard in the back line. So poke into the finishers here from Dante on the Tracer, working out well, as Fusion really didn't have much to work with this composition. They sort of just got backed up into that little house and slowly pushed in by the...
Wow. So that actually ended up working out a lot better than I anticipated. So let's see what happened. So basically you have Baby Bay poking, as you expect, but Dante goes in there, and they find the pick onto Fraggy, which is completely unexpected. You wouldn't think that could happen with Neptuno on him, but you basically have three people focusing Fraggy down. You have Nevix, Nomi, and then you have Dante coming in from the back. And I'm pretty sure he's discorded. So he drops really quickly, and then Neptuno, he's got no opportunity to res that, because that's the big meat shield, right? You want Fraggy to be shielding someone else for the res, but you don't have anyone to shield Neptuno while he's going for the res onto Fraggy. Plus, he's just really far up, so that gives a huge opportunity. Neptuno falls to Dante in the back line, and then once that happens, once you don't have that Mercy there for any more reses, it's really hard to hold on to this point, even though Carpe has gotten a nice pick onto Nomi. Fraggy's going to swap off, though. He's going to get the Winston. Winston's a good pick on the second checkpoint. Also, if they want to, he maybe can come in and stall. I don't think that's really worth it, though. But basically, you end up seeing a pretty decent ult advantage in terms of the Valkyrie for Dax. That's going to give them a nice bit of... that's going to give them a nice push here on the first part of the second checkpoint. Because with that Valkyrie, you then are able to take the high ground away from Philadelphia Fusion, especially because you have Carpe on the Widow. It's going to be really important to have control of that that high ground. You just got to get Nomi and Nevix in there at the same time. They're trying to spot out Carpe right now, and as soon as they do that, they really will be able to engage a lot easier. Baby Bay is also ready to go, but that's big. Where was Carpe positioned? Because he finds the pick, but I don't even know where he is. Oh, he's hiding up there, so that's big. So that's important. So he gets the pick onto Dante, and that's going to give Philadelphia Fusion control over this area, like right away, basically. And so now that Philadelphia Fusion has control over the high ground, Widowmaker is going to be really scary, and it's going to make it very hard for San Francisco Shock to push through. What they need to do is they need to kind of come through here and get into a spot where they can really pressure Carpe. But Carpe's got so much high ground to work with. They're actually going to swap Baby Bay over to Widowmaker, but I don't like this. So the reason I don't like this is that basically you're saying that you're such a good Widow that you can kill the other guy when he has the complete positional advantage, because attacking Widow is so hard. Oh my gosh, Carpe popping off. But attacking Widow is so hard on this second point of Eichenwalde because, oh my goodness, this guy's so nuts. Oh my gosh. Okay, he finally dies, but jeez, that was ridiculous. Anyways, the point is that let me just pause real quick while we're waiting for me to explain this. So basically, the problem with Baby Bay being on Widow at this point is that Carpe has such a huge high ground advantage on the second point of Eichenwalde that there's literally no way that Baby Bay wins these fights unless he's like some kind of Super Saiyan god at Widowmaker. And I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, he's not better at Widow than Carpe. I mean, he's definitely a scary threat, but I mean, the only reason he even, like, Carpe even dies here is because he gets greedy and does a hook shot in a really dumb position. But, like, assuming Carpe is just playing this high ground, there's literally no chance that Baby Bay has of killing him, because even if he does manage to get one lucky headshot onto Carpe, Neptuno is still there to res him, and that's huge. But Dante does run down Carpe, which is big. The Dragon Blade is up for Shadowburn. He's just got to wait for Sleepy to get that Transcendence out. And San Francisco Shock has been winning this fight, so he's going to back up. What they're going to do is they're going to contest on the bridge. And so what we need to see from Philadelphia Fusion's tanks is we need to see Fraggy and we need to see Poco diving onto Sleepy, forcing out that Transcendence. And then as soon as that happens, we will be able to see Shadowburn go in with the Genji Blade, and that's going to be how they defend this bridge. So right away, that's a nice spot for Dante to be in. He's going to drop the Pulse Bomb. It's not going to land, though, because there is a shield there. But that is a good spot. Poco's going to lead out with the self-destruct. Actually, that's huge. So he forces out the Transcendence with that self-destruct, which is big. Now Shadowburn's going to come in from the side with the Dragon Blade. Carpe, I don't think Carpe should have stayed on the Widow at that point. It doesn't make sense, and when you're in a clutch push like that, you don't have enough space to work with, and you don't have the high ground, importantly. In fact, actually, this is where the Widow pick from San Francisco Shock works out, because they now have pushed up. Baby Bay can get on the high ground, and this is exactly the opposite of what I was saying before. So before Carpe had the high ground, Baby Bay should have switched off of Widow. But now that Baby Bay has the high ground, Carpe needs to swap off the Widow. This fight is still going. The thing is, the tanks are just kind of trickling in from Philadelphia Fusion, so it's going to be really hard for them to actually defend this. Once the Primal Rage runs out, unless they can get Neptuno in there for the res, this point is gone. And that's a good pick by Shadowburn. So Neptuno does come in with the Transcendence. This may be defensible because Shadowburn did kill Baby Bay. Baby Bay is not going to be able to get set back up on the high ground very easily, especially with Shadowburn in the backline pressuring him out. All the reses are gone from Neptuno, though, so this is whoever dies, dies. Ready. Ooh, Shadowburn is going big right now. He's gone nuclear. The thing is, Dak's sitting here on point. Both supports from Shock are sitting on point, but they can't get focused down because Nomi was doing such a good job Another Transcendence out from Sleepy. That's huge. Carpe has finally swapped out the Widow. Thank goodness. That was getting a little scary. That's a big pick from Baby Bay, though. The thing is, no matter what, Fusion has always been able to keep a body on this point, and there's another tank coming in from Philadelphia Fusion. So even though they demeched Poco, they still have a body on there. But there's no more support ultimates from Philadelphia Fusion. So unless they can dislodge Baby Bay, there's no way they can hold this. And, well, there we go. Baby Bay is going to swap off, though. I wonder what he goes to, because we've seen a bunch of different things. We might see the McCree, we might see the Genji, but it does end up being the McCree. I like this pick because Genji does work on this last point of Eichenwalde, but the problem with Genji is that when you're working in such close quarters, if the enemy team has a Transcendence, and it's harder to force out a Transcendence, I guess, because the tanks are all clumped up with their supports, so it's much harder to put pressure on them. So, how does that happen? Where's Shadowburn at? Okay, so Shadowburn's getting focused down by Nomi and then finished off by Baby Bay. Which is big, obviously. He should be able to get rezzed up, but Fraggy, oof. So here's the thing. This is one of the issues with Philadelphia Fusion, is that they've got this thing where no matter what happens, Poco never defense matrixes Fraggy. So as soon as that happens, it doesn't look like there's any shield from Fraggy, I guess. But I don't know why he goes as deep, because I know he's just trying to just bring focus away from Neptuno, but they don't even get a res off. So it's like, what's the point? They're going to have one last chance to stall this payload out, but it's going to be hard. Carpe's going to have to get on point first. And we almost have the High Noon coming in from... Yep, we already have the High Noon. As soon as that self-destruct runs out... Wow. That was super good. Shadowburn is actually carrying this team. And, I mean, there's no more High Noon, so Neptuno doesn't have to be as scared, but... Big picks, big picks. Alright, so that's a huge defense. There was Valkyrie burned, but more importantly, so Fusion only burned one support ulti in that fight as far as I can tell. That was a long fight, so I might have missed something. But then... Where do we... Okay, so we get the res off here. Alright, so the Valkyrie is coming out from Neptuno right now. And so this is the only reason Fusion is able to hold, because while Dax Valkyrie is going, they don't manage to get enough picks because the Primal Rage is super strong. And he's just... Fraggy's basically unkillable until that ends. And so, as soon as the Transcendence runs out from Sleepy and the Valkyrie runs out from Dak, Neptuno's Valkyrie is going, and Shadowburn is able to pop the Dragon Blade, get picks, self-destruct from Poco. Oh my goodness, this guy is ridiculous. Gets another 2 picks. Holy sh... Yeah, wow. So that's going to be basically Fusion holding because of some big hero plays. But going into that fight, Shock had all the cards, honestly. They had the 2 support ultis compared to Fusion's 1. And this is big now because Boombox and Neptuno are going to come up with their support ultis before San Francisco Shock does in overtime. So there's literally no way Shock comes in with the actual advantage. They're just going to have to rely on Baby Bay getting a pick or Dante getting a pick and snowballing that, because they don't have any kind of advantage to speak of.
Looking over at Poco right now, trying to back off and play conservatively.
On the point, full support ultimates available for Fusion. That's a big advantage here. Sleepy pops his. Transcendence.
All right. Wow.
Push forward. Nevix gets available for Fusion. That's a big advantage here. Sleepy pops his. Transcendence. Now for Shock as they try to...
So they burn the Transcendence. And of course, the support ultimate, if you have equal support ultimates, the advantage always goes to the defense. We're just waiting for the... And like, it's so annoying because the big hero plays are coming out. But they get instantly rezzed back by Neptuno, and so that's I don't know, it's really fun to watch, but the discipline just isn't there, which is really annoying. And it's a C9. That's a C9. I like, where's the discipline from these teams in overtime? It's like, I mean, Philadelphia Fusion has all the cards going into this fight, but they just keep getting picked, which forces Neptuno to have to burn his reses early, and then Dax coming up on his Valkyrie right now, and they can't finish the fight before Dax Valkyrie comes up, and once it does, it's over. And then, you know, I mean, it's not like a true C9, I guess, because they had lost the fight, and, you know, they were only going to be able to stall it for so long anyways, but still, that's rough. So the problem with Fusion in that fight was that they got surprised by the Junkrat pick from Baby Bay, which, I mean, I'll be honest, I mean, it's not something you expect to come out, but it's just so unfortunate that they get picked by this. I mean, Junkrat is super strong in those close quarters, and actually, as I think about it now, I think that they should have swapped to that immediately, but alright. Going into Philadelphia's attack round. Let's see if my thing will load. Alright, so going into this attack round, we have Shadowburn on the Pharah, kind of expectedly. Other than that, it's a standard dive composition. And then from San Francisco, we have... See, this is what I don't get. Why are they playing Diva with Orisa on Eichenwalde? You always, like, unless you're playing on Temple of Anubis, you should always play Roadhog with Orisa, because that Orisa-Hog combo is really strong. But furthermore, the issue with Orisa on this map is that there's no good place for you to set up if the other team has a Pharah. There's no good positioning, because anywhere an Orisa sets up is either going to be one off point with no access to the point, or you're going to be able to be poked out by Pharah. And Orisa doesn't really... There's no great way from San Francisco Shock to deal with the Pharah. Obviously, you have the Discord Orb and you have Baby Bay on McCree. But apart from the High Noon, or a nice self-destruct, Shadowburn's never going to be zoned out of this fight. And so the Orisa is going to do absolutely nothing against it, which is why you don't really see Orisa played all that much on Eichenwalde Point A. You do see it occasionally, though, but when you do, it's paired with a Roadhog as well, and it's against teams that don't play Pharah. So when you have Shadowburn, I don't know why you would pick Orisa on Point A. And already you see right there, like, he's just harassing Nomi, he's putting pressure down. I mean, you've got to be careful about the Junkrat spam coming out from Baby Bay, but at this point, it doesn't matter as much. Ooh, that's a good pick by Shadowburn. But yeah, that's the problem, is that once Shadowburn, once the tanks from Philadelphia Fusion are pushed in here, Shadowburn can go all the way into the backline, because now Nomi can't pressure Shadowburn at all if there's tanks there. And that's the issue. And so he's free to focus on Dak, he's free to focus on Baby Bay, who's been forced into this tiny corner by Poco. So once you, there's two picks instantly, the core of this roster is completely gone from San Francisco Shock. There's nothing they can do, and it's just an easy point take from Philadelphia Fusion. So I don't like the Orisa pick here. There's nothing you can do against a Pharah. He's so lit. Oh my goodness. Alright, let's just... Alright, so they kill Sleepy, right? They're trying to get the res off. They want to contest for a little bit longer, burn a little bit more time, but there's no one running back in. And, I mean, Nomi's swapped off already, which is good. They're going to have to take control of the high ground. The issue with Pharah on the second point is that when you have a McCree on the high ground with a Zenyatta Discord Orb, it makes it very hard for Shadowburn on the Pharah to move around. But if Fusion finds their position, you can see they've already got their tanks and Carpe are really pushed up into the castle already. There is an opportunity for a Fusion to dislodge this high ground defense from San Francisco Shock, but it really all depends on whether they can get the timing right. And like already, Poco's gone in. Carpe coming up the bottom, but oof, Dante already. But yeah, no, they get Baby Bay, which is the whole point. The whole point of that push is to get Baby Bay. Alrighty. Will this tire get anyone? It does get Fraggy. So, because of actually good play by Dante, Fusion doesn't want to invest any support ultis yet, because they haven't burned any support ultis from Shock. As an attacker, you don't want to invest support ults unless you know that you can burn the enemy teams, the defensive team support ultis. Oh, that's a sick pick from Boombox. So, here's what I was going to say. So, basically, even though Philadelphia got the initial pick onto Baby Bay, they weren't able to win the fight because Junkrat on that top side was able to take out Carpe. And Neptuno's not going to invest his Valkyrie to res that up. But since Boombox gets a pick on Baby Bay with literally zero investment from Philadelphia Fusion, they're going to force Dak to try and res that. And when they do, they can dive on him with Fraggy and with Shadowburn. And they missed the opportunity because I guess they weren't in position. I mean, Fraggy had already used his jumps, but then you basically only have Shadowburn and Poco who are able to actually do anything. Shadowburn goes up there, but that's not really enough. It's unfortunate because even if Poco did go up there, they probably would not have gotten that kill. But that is a 6 self-destruct. You can always count on Poco to be an amazing player. So that actually does completely dislodge this high ground defense. Shadowburn has already swapped off the Pharah because unless you dislodge Baby Bay immediately, there's no point in playing Pharah against a high ground McCree. But they do win that second fight. They now have control of the high ground. The question is, how do they use that to position for their final assault on this point? All right, let's watch this. So right now we see Dak is rezzing. So we want to watch Poco self-destruct, see where it finds Dak, because he throws it up. Oh, that's very sick. Whew. That was actually really smart. This guy, dude. Alright. We didn't get to see how Philadelphia Fusion set up their attack here because of the replay, but it looks like they were just set up in the castle and dived on Shock as they streamed out. But that does mean that they've forced out the Transcendence, which was the only support ultimate that San Francisco Shock was holding on to, which means they have the Transcendence advantage. So as they push into this last point, they're going to have the support ulti, and Shock has none, which means that they should be able to win this fight unless something crazy happens. They've burned the Transcendence. Shadowburn's going crazy, gone wild, and that's a point take, which now means that Fusion has a massive time bank basically to take this last point somehow. And hopefully they should be able to take it with a decent amount of time, and then they only have to get one tick on the next point to win. So at this point, I would expect Shadowburn to likely switch off of the Genji, because you know that they're going to have the Transcendence up before you get the Dragon Blade. And so you're not going to get anything, you're not going to get any value out of that Dragon Blade for sure. And then you want to swap off to most likely a Junkrat, because Junkrat's really strong on this section of the map. Now, what they could potentially do is get that Dragon Blade up really quickly and use it specifically to bait out a Transcendence, but I don't think that's likely. I think, they're swapping Carpe to McCree, which I'm not sure I like as much, but you can definitely play McCree on this point, but I still think they should swap Shadowburn off to Junkrat. So this doesn't make sense to me, though, because I like the idea behind this is obviously you graviton and you're in such close quarters that you can probably hit like the entirety of their team. The issue is that when are you going to have an opportunity to graviton when Sleepy won't have Transcendence? Because Sleepy already has a Transcendence in his back pocket for whenever Shadowburn gets Graviton. So they have to find a way to force out a Transcendence first and then use the Graviton. But I don't see any way to do that. There's no surefire way from Philadelphia Fusion to force out a Graviton on their team. Because what's Carpe going to do? He's going to fire shots into Nomi's shield, right? I mean, you can use the self-destruct, but it's a lot harder to find a self-destruct that's going to be fat when you have a Reinhardt in such close quarters. He can just stand right in front of it, and his team can group up behind him. So while the idea is sound in theory, in actuality, I don't think against this team comp they're going to be able to find any way to force out a Transcendence. And boom. All right, let's watch this fight over again, because I was talking too much. Alright. So they're trying to find a way in here. Dante gets a very nice... There's no more shields from Shadowburn. Dante gets a good pulse bomb onto 2, which is followed up immediately by a 6 self-destruct. But the thing is, so Neptuno and Dak both pop reses. So now deaths are permanent. Okay, deaths are permanent now. And Carpe kills Dante while deaths are permanent. So already Philadelphia has the fusion in the beginning of this fight. He's got to be careful of the Junkrat, though. He's hiding around the corner. And there's a Riptire coming out. Nice. That's beautiful, beautiful. So they actually might be able to push this. And so this is big, though, because now, since this fight is going completely south for San Francisco Shock, they might actually burn this Transcendence, which will give Shadowburn and Fraggy an opportunity. But Shadowburn still isn't anywhere near his ulti yet. They're going to hang on to the Transcendence until overtime. Well, not overtime, but until the payload gets a little bit closer to the point. They kill Sleepy, though, so they got 10 seconds where they don't have to worry about Transcendence at all. Never mind. It's rezzed. I forgot about Mercy. So Transcendence gets forced out right away. Shadowburn still isn't close to Graviton, so even though they do have that advantage, it's probably not going to come into play yet. We might see it again in the next fight. But already both support ultimates are burned. I would have liked to see... See, here's the thing. Like, okay. In one sense, Philadelphia Fusion has 2 minutes and 16 seconds on the map, so they have time to work with, which means they don't have to invest everything yet. But at the same time, they want to have enough time in their time bank to complete point A so that they can win the round. So it's really important that they do cap as fast as possible. And 2 minutes is already getting close to the thing. But the problem is that San Francisco Shock has both the spawn advantage and they have a Junkrat who's super strong in these close quarter fights. So what I want to see is I want to see them invest their hammer down and their Graviton very soon here. But until they have that, they need to be really careful, because if anyone gets picked off before they have those ults available, their attack is over. So there's no Valkyrie coming in from Neptuno. There it goes. There it goes. There's 1. There's 3. There it is. All right, that's the game. Wow. All right, so they basically did exactly what I said I wanted them to do. So what they did was they held on to... They didn't... They backed up a little bit. They played it safe. They kept Fraggy's shield alive. And then as soon as Shadowburn gets his Graviton, they pop it on the point, and they win easy with 2 minutes in the time bank, which is important. So now that as we go to attack, they only have to take point A, and it's going to be really important to see. So Shock is... I want to see what Shock does to hold this, because if they're not going to play the Orisa again, I don't believe. Yeah, they don't play the Orisa. They correctly identify that as being a really dumb pick. We have Dante and Baby Bay ready to go. Alright, so here's what we see Philadelphia do to win this point. What they want to do is they want to find Baby Bay, because Baby Bay is a sitting duck on McCree. That's one thing. The thing about McCree is that you have to always pocket him. He's such a fragile DPS. He's got 1 movement ability on a long cooldown that doesn't even move him that far. It's really only useful in like 1v1s for actual like mobility purposes. Other than that, you just use it for the reload. So basically, Baby Bay has to be pocketed all the time. So what you do is you find the pocket and you kill them. You put pressure on them with, you put pressure on them with Shadowburn, and then once the pressure is being felt, you have to dive on them. Of course, Dante is always going to be an issue because Dante on Junkrat will be able to really effectively disrupt dives because that's what Junkrat does. He just disrupts things. I want to see Shadowburn's POV. Show me Shadowburn's POV. Because I'm not seeing anything right now. Alright, so Shadowburn looks like he's focusing down Dante because I see his health bar dropping a bunch. So Carpe has gotten behind. So they found the pocket right here. So if Shadowburn has a sight line onto this, this should be a dead Dak. Ooh, but... Oh, that's big. Baby Bay gets 2 picks. So, right now what... So Carpe is trying to find the pocket right now. So Dak, the 2 tanks are here, Dak's there, and Baby Bay is all the way back here. So Shadowburn should have sightlines onto Dak, but he actually does a really good job at avoiding Carpe and Shadowburn. And then while that's happening, Baby Bay is in the back line, and he kills Boombox and Carpe, and then Neptuno. So that's a really good positional play from San Francisco Shock to not allow themselves any vulnerability to Carpe and Shadowburn, whilst putting themselves in a position to do damage onto the back line of San Francisco Shock. So Carpe is running into position. So again, what they need to do is they need to find the pocket, because as long as Baby Bay has got Dak on him, it's going to be really hard to assault this point. The other thing is that Dak's going to have Valkyrie up coming. It's going to have Valkyrie up pretty much right now, and then Neptuno is not going to have it for a while. So the support all advantage going into this last 30 seconds is very much in favor of the San Francisco Shock, which is really bad for the Philadelphia Fusion. They're not going to have as much time as they would like to work with here to get their support alties up to par with Fusion. And of course, Frankie's going to die right away. Fun.
Used the Valkyrie in the last attack, so they retreat after just losing 1 player in Fraggy.
Shadowburn's going to go on a long flank. They need to make this barrage count, but the problem is they have a Transcendence on the side of San Francisco Shock, so it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard to find that. So the Transcendence actually gets forced out first by Poco and Fraggy. So you see Fraggy go in, and Carpe's with him, but Poco follows up really late. But they get the Transcendence out. So as soon as this goes down, there we go. Dante gets hit. And as always, with Barrage is always a suicide mission. You have to get a priority target before you get rezzed. And that's why that's a large part of why Fair is viable right now, is because Valkyrie is broken. Because D.Va is in the game, Barrage is always a self-destruct, basically. You use it, you kill someone, and then you die to D.Va. So you have to get a high priority target, but you don't get Dak, who is in the Valkyrie right now. Dak isn't in Valkyrie. You get Dante, who has the Rip Tower, which is actually a big pick. And you have Neptuno, who's currently in Valkyrie. But the problem is that as soon as Shadowburn goes down, they guard the body. And as soon as he respawns, Baby Bay and Sleepy are focusing him, and so he gets killed immediately afterwards, and then they don't have enough firepower to take the point. So if you watch that fight one more time. Alright, so we're going into overtime right now. Shadowburn's going for the flank, as we saw. The other thing is that we want to see where Carpe uses his pulse bomb, because they have to burn everything here. Boombox. Thing is, Dak has already used his Valkyrie, so is not coming into play in this fight. So it's only the Transcendence they have to worry about. So Fraggy gets the Transcendence out. Where does Carpe use his bomb? Oh, he tried to use it on... He tried to use it on Nevix, but it got Ian up. So that's actually a big play by Nevix. He eats the bomb. And then, so... The thing is, so Shadowburn was looking... He was looking for Dak, but he flew into the building right there. You see, he manages to get in the building right close. And so instead he focuses Dante, and then Nevix kills him. And then after that, the body is being guarded. You see, as soon as he gets up, he's in the air, and he dies to 3 shots from Baby Bay. The Riptire comes out, and that is all she wrote for San Francisco Shock. That was overall a pretty enjoyable series. I mean, what I'd like to see from San Francisco Shock in the future is I really want them to improve their tank coordination. We saw lots of really awkward plays from Nomi and Nevix where they weren't going in at the right times and they weren't in sync with each other. The other thing is we need to see a lot more discipline from their supports. I can't remember. I was watching the game last night against Spitfire, so I can't remember if they were doing better in that regard. I know Dak got picked off a lot, but that's another thing is Dak's positioning and his Mercy has been a pretty big liability as far as I'm concerned with the San Francisco Shock. So we want to see their supports be more consistent. We want to see them use their ultimates better, and we also want to see that positioning from their tanks improve so that they have better target focus and are able to actually, make plays happen, make their dives happen well. Also, Dante he's been okay. He's been consistently okay. He's never really impressed with anything like we've seen with like Sabiobi or like even Carpe or Asher or Striker. But he's been consistently okay. But if we see him improve, that'll make the threats from San Francisco Shock a lot scarier. What I want to see from Philadelphia in the future is I want to see them... I really want to see them improve their tank coordination. Fraggy and Poco are oftentimes not on the same page. They're not in the same place. They're not focusing the same targets. Their DPS are. Ultimately, Shadowburn and Carpe are super clutch, so it's really important that they keep in line with their DPS and they know where they are so that they can find the right targets and that they're in the right spots. I don't know. That was a really poorly explained thought, but that's where I'm at right now. My brain is kind of fried. I've been talking for 2 hours. Also, going along with that, they have the same kind of issues in terms of supports as Shock does. Although I think overall, Boombox and Neptuno are both stronger supports than Sleepy and Dak. The issue I see with them is that it's very much the same thing. They struggle to know, one, where the ults are at from Shock. They struggle to keep track of the ultimates, and they also struggle to use their ultimates well and effectively and not overlap them and keep a support ult advantage. Alrighty, well, I think that's going to be it for the stream today. I thank you all to those who tuned in. Thank you all to those who will view this on YouTube when I put it up and upload it. I really appreciate the support, and if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I would appreciate it. I will always be posting on there when I'm about to stream. I think that's all the self-plugs I have, so I'm going to end the stream now. Thanks for watching.